Ladies and gentlemen, can I just ask you to come in a little bit? Thanks very much. It's the last day of MIPIM today, which may come as a relief to some, if not to everyone. And we start our dance sessions this morning with somebody who we're all very familiar with, Mike Ingall, and who's going to take us through where we're up to in the evolution of our St John's development, more particularly the philosophy which is underpinning our approach to that very, very exciting development. As you know, Mike and the City Council have been very strong joint venture partners for many, many years, spinning fields, and there's also now the London Road Fire Station, which is now coming under Mike's personal control, and we all look forward very much to what Mike's got to tell us. Mike.
Thank you, Howard. Good morning. I hope you're all feeling well and refreshed, and some are not over-refreshed. 20 years, I think, in Manchester. We actually launched spinning fields here with Howard back in 1996. And this is our sort of 20th year. We're sort of very proud to be here. And I would actually guess that at the moment we're actually doing more than we ever have in this city. So we're very invested. We're very committed. What I want to do this morning is not really to sort of give you a hard sell of any sort of projects, but actually share some stuff. Share some of the stuff we've actually done, what actually drives us, and actually what's driving us at the moment. With our sort of 3 projects, and how it might be actually possible to actually join those projects up. So the sort of theme of this talk, and it isn't a sort of presentation, is sort of really joining up. And it's actually not only sort of joining up physically, it's also joining up through a sort of thought the process, which hopefully I can sort of pick up. So sort of what we're sort of known for is spinning fields. It has become a sort of massive district. It is actually very successful, and currently we're actually developing our sort of final 2 major buildings with actually 2 more sort of playful things. I'll actually show you on a slide. The sort of 2 more sort of playful things are actually what I think adds the character and actually determines the place, rather than actually necessarily the other buildings. We're hearing a lot about innovation. I'll sort of speak a lot today about enterprise, and I think there is a big difference between innovation and enterprise. Innovation to me is about learning, and enterprise is about putting that learning into practice through sort of corporate ventures. We've always been driven by vision. It's at the sort of forefront of our developments, and I sort of guess our sort of vision is all about actually telling a story. And what we like to do about all our developments and our sort of places is actually tell a story. Our design has actually been at the front of our agenda, and actually still is. And we won't actually compromise the design. It's actually vital to actually sustaining and actually creating a value. And as we've sort of come through the years since 2008, 9, 10, 11, obviously sort of things have changed, and actually so have we. Our trends have changed, designers changed, and actually that's actually really informed us. And I'll actually take you sort of through a little story. Amenity in our sort of places is absolutely vital, and actually we do silly stuff. The Oast House, the Lawn Club, pop-ups. It's all part of actually creating a place, and actually what we do hopefully inspires others, and actually gives others ideas in other areas of the city. We want that. Adaptability. Public space in cities, to me, isn't about green spaces. It's actually about active spaces. They're spaces that actually people come and actually do things on, and we will sort of carry that forward at St John's and at London Road particularly. Projects of vision that actually we've achieved. This one, I sort of tend to think it hasn't sort of probably get the claim it deserves, but it's actually not as tall as the Beetham Tower. That's why. And actually, it wasn't designed by Ian Simpson either. So, yeah, sort of certain things need a sort of certain brand, but we're actually particularly proud of it. 3 Hardman Street. Well, it sort of won 20 awards. A workplace of 2010 formed the sort of BCO guidelines for offices, and that basically happened in Manchester. Number 1, the Avenue, was a bit of fun. Giorgio liked it. It actually set a tone. It actually fits well. Didn't particularly make us any money, but it's actually a great building in a sort of, it actually sort of defined what Spinningfields is. And we then sort of started to adapt to trends, and actually particularly workspace trends, and our sort of refurbishment of the sort of former Manchester House in to very sort of cool work space, actually in the Spiders, and actually started up a bit of a sort of joining up, which basically led us to develop this building, which we developed speculatively. I don't actually regard it as an office building. It is a sort of workspace building that sort of MediaCom snapped up immediately. And as we sort of went on, that sort of gave us the inspiration to develop XYZ, which for me has been the success of the MIPIM. We launched this building in 2011 here. It was just simply an idea. It was a sort of bit of a vision. It's a flatted factory, basically, where there are people to work. It was actually born in the MIPIM, and I'm actually glad to say it will sort of probably end here, as we actually sold that building fully leased after only actually 6 months on the site. It's actually due for completion later this year. It is the sort of first of its kind in the country. And actually, when we finish it, I'll actually take you all over it. And actually, you will understand why NCC, Global Radio, and our creative lawyer, Vak Farouk, who's over there, took this building. It's a sort of massive corporate statement. It's sort of bang on trend, and it's actually what certain of the market are asking for, and we've actually developed it. And that's going to actually join up some thinking, which I'll actually show you in a minute. But actually, we haven't sort of lost our sort of marbles to TMT. We're sort of still firmly in the sort of corporate world, and we're still firmly in the financial world, the legal and actually professional, and a number 1 spinning fields we're actually developing currently. It's sort of very quickly leasing up to sort of what I regard as the more typical spinning fields to tenants, financial service, professional, and in this building particularly, we've answered trends by handing over about 20% of the floor space to amenity, so restaurants, a business lounge, coffee, meet-up spaces, all actually managed by the landlord. So we're absolutely delighted with this building. But actually, and then moving on, the small things that actually sort of create the difference. This is the subject of a forthcoming planning application for the new Hardman Square. It's a timber building. We want it to be the most sustainable building, smaller building in the country. We've actually put a lot of a design in. It's a sort of restaurant, leisure, garden, timber building, but the whole public realm of sort of Spinningfields is actually going to change. We're going to sort of radically make it very different to what it is on the back of this proposal. And then the Oast House, well, it was only ever temporary. It was only ever a sort of pop-up, and this is a sort of potential leisure building, which has been built for sort of leisure occupiers, restaurants, bars, potential cinema, and opening up and actually keeping the courtyard. It's sort of work in progress, but it actually sort of shows you how we sort of think and how the sort of smaller buildings we want differently. So how do we join up? So Howard's always actually told me that St John's is an extension of Spinningfields, and I've always sort of seen it, but I haven't sort of quite. And we've always been actually looking to how those two completely different developments could actually join up. That's the master plan. That's not changing. But I think what is going to change is the word enterprise. And I can actually talk about culture and the sort of living element another time. But today, I just simply want to focus on enterprise and this sort of joined up thinking, which is going to result potentially to actually linking Spinningfields and St John's through enterprise. XYZ is a sort of massive statement and a huge success. And we think we can actually connect the bonded warehouse, a sort of massive, iconic building, to XYZ, and the two can actually talk through the type of tenants and the type of space and the type of building. And basically enterprise to us is all about commercial organisations, from startups to sort of first, second generations to sort of major corporates. So what we want to do is join these two up, and then Spinningfields talks to St John's, but we don't want to join it up corporately. It isn't these sort of corporate office buildings. It's going to be something very, very unique that I've been working with Ian Simpson on as a concept, and I'll actually share that today. It's about actually creating a sort of lateral building where sort of corporates can have sort of proper work space, but can have their own building in a building. It's like, I guess, the sort of a university. It's sort of like collegiate, and it's actually called Central Village, and it's right in the heart of St John's, which I didn't mean to do. Can we go back? Oh, I've lost the video. Can you help there? Right, I'll just press it once this time, and then it'll roll. A sort of a short animation, which Ian's actually kindly put together, begins with Ian's sketches, which basically responded to our sort of brief. The sort of pink is the shopping, restaurants. The blue is commercial. The green is obviously green. But what we want to do is create a building that is completely different, that basically talks to parts of it. And there's housing on the top. But it's led by corporates wanting to actually brand their space and wanting their own space within a sort of building where they can be clearly identified. The red is shopping, the green is residential, the blue is office. The yellow is a huge podium where all sorts of things actually are sort of common, or actually collegiate to all these organisations. And as the sort of building builds up and the sort of lifts go in, these chunks of commercial work space come in, each of which that we envisage will be a different organisation. So there'll be probably sort of 10 or 12 different companies in this. The building are reasonably small companies, but all part of this sort of new enterprise world. And this will have the sort of same philosophy as XYZ. It's sort of managed, it'll be sort of highly managed, highly cultured, curated. And it will be different, deliberately different. Excuse me. With a bit of housing on the top of it. And that we hope to start work towards your planning application sometime in the summer, and we'd like to start constructing this next March as sort of a part of the enterprise. So that is, if you like, the sort of what in St John's is the main enterprise. As I said, I can actually talk another parts of the scheme another time. I am sort of pleased that I can tell you we're sort of close to actually assigning 3 hotels, and are actually hoping to start our first phase in sort of January. And you can actually see how sort of green that to our building is. Thank you, Ian. I think it's pretty good so far. And so that's how we think enterprise can join up what will be these 2 great places. London Road. Why have we bought this? Well, actually, we had a mad half an hour, and we absolutely love our building. I've actually sort of bought a brochure to show you. There's only one copy. If you'd actually like to look at it, then ask, and but please don't steal it. Not that you would. I would. That's the sort of thing I'd do. Why did we buy London Road? Well, A, we love the building. B, we think where it is a fantastic voice to London. It's a fantastic building. There's so much opportunity. For us, it's right in our sweet spot. We absolutely love working with fantastic buildings. We actually developed the Brunswick in London, the bonded warehouse. We're actually developing in the city, and we are particularly good at actually reusing buildings. But we also think there's something else, despite the heritage, inspiration, and experience, which are our 3 key words for this building. I won't dwell on it, but what I want to dwell on is what we can do with this building and how it can join up places as well. And this is probably why we bought it, or one of the reasons why we wanted to invest in this part of the city. Because, and these are just visuals, we call this is just an idea. It is nothing else. And I can't use the word a corridor, so I've got to delete that, because there is another corridor which has a sort of square and a sort of circle and a sort of Brooklyn designer working on it. So I don't want to go anywhere near that, and I don't want to take anyone else's ideas. In fact, what I want to do is embrace those ideas. But there's something happening here. Whitworth Street is a really important street, and if you walk down it, and I have actually now retitled it an arc rather than a corridor overnight. It's an arc of experience, culture. I think on here was a sort of a culture word here. A campus in the hands of sort of young, inspiring developers, centric, good guys. Princess Street, the ex-founders of Chelsfield, good guys. Canal Street, a massive opportunity, and we should embrace the sort of gay community. They're really, really important, and that could actually make the sort of city different. And it's a sort of a powerful thing having a sort of gay area in a city, and I actually genuinely mean that. A corner house in the hands of Bruntwood, good guys. Home and Mosey, old Granada studios in the hands of reprobates. The factory, a fantastic project, and that links back to St John's. It's a slight arc, but it is actually all almost a sort of straight line walk from Piccadilly, and I think that's has something together we could all actually work on this arc of experience and culture. The other reason we bought London Road and are so passionate about St John's is people now, what they want is experiences. They don't actually sort of want the sort of same old trotted out restaurant, bar. Every sort of day they actually search for sort of some form of experience. And I think if we can cleverly join all these developments up, which are all in the hands of actually great people, I think it's sort of potentially something for the city. It's a sort of another area. It's another story which sort of cities need. Thank you. I'm done.